Hello and welcome to season 3 of the podcast for the recently deceased. We're back!
Holy shit, you said season 3 and I was like, "Wait, what the flip?"
Season
Awesome.
3.
It's
I'm Nate
exciting.
Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. So good to be back with you once again, brother.
Oh my.
Man.
What a long break. We're going to bang out a handful of episodes tonight to get over January cuz whew, what
It's
a
a rough one, yeah.
it's been a rough month.
It certainly
Um,
has. We're taking a respite as an interlude between 2 and 3, and we were looking forward to catching up on some things and some new releases, and man, to say the least, it has not been the most enjoyable month. Uh, Comparatively to last year, it's been a bit of a downer. So we're excited to get into all of that. But
it's almost unbelievable how amazing horror was in 2022 to round the corner and to just have like
with
the
the car
shittiest
and wrap the
to
car around the tree.
it's like just like literally
Yeah.
like so the stats, right? The stats were like 2021 horror was awesome. 2022, look at what horror is doing, guys. Everyone with a everyone who can scrounge up $1 million, make a fucking horror
Mhm.
movie. You'll make millions. You'll be famous.
Or
And
15,000, as
yeah,
tonight will prove.
and
And then to totally just lay turd after turd this month.
just
It's
feel
been
like
the most sad
feel like
thing.
and if you can squeeze it in, just release it in January, guys. Just
Yeah,
it's just
just
like
throwing money
just
at
get it out there
whomever.
as quickly as you can, because oh my God,
You got
what?
a harebrained scheme idea. Let's make a movie, and it's fine. And it's an inflection point, in my opinion. It speaks to the genre sort of being on this precipice of mediocrity, where it's like, oh well, let's just make anything. Everything's fine. It it's if it's a gimmick, you're in. No one's done it before, or it's been 10 plus years since someone's done something similar. You're in. You get to make your movie, and
Oh
now
yeah,
it's special and important,
su-
and
su-
it's
su-
concerning.
super woke and like jamming your message down the audience's throat for no reason with no story.
It's
You're in. You're
it's
in.
the
Make it.
cult
Like
of the amateur
yeah,
hour, and it's concerning. So we'll see. Hopefully, it does not bode for the rest of the year, but it's definitely a concern,
yeah.
an early warning sign. You
So
know, I would
20
see the doctor if I were this year's
Yeah, so
horror industry.
2023 is off to a tough start. That being said, we're going to kick off with
Yes,
what you might call the golden turd of
that's not fair characterization. This is the current top reigning horror film of 2023.
yes. If I was forced to make a top five right now, it would just be this movie 5 times. Uh,
That's great. That's a good one.
thank you. I made it myself. Okay. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's episode, Megan, um, a robotics engineer at a toy company, builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own.
This is written by Akela Cooper, who, as you will note, penned *Malignant*. Directed by Gerard Johnstone, produced by the James Wan Bloomhouse team, starring Allison Williams and Violet McCraw. I can't recall the name of the child actor that played the prosthetic type thing. It also has a cameo of sorts or a sidebar with Ronnie Chiang, which we'll get into because some people did not appreciate his adage to the to the list there, but I digress.
I thought he was great. I definitely mistook him for someone else, but I still thought he was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so you did the synopsis.
Yeah. So you want to
Brought,
start?
brought yeah. Okay, so for me, I am extremely pleased and excited for Megan to exist. um, it's known or famous or became popularized through social media, and it really was unique because it changed the way in which they planned on releasing the movie. This movie, I believe, you correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, it was intended to be an R release.
Yeah, I think they did shoot it as an R and then they like cut it to be PG-13. I hope we get
Right.
a
I
unrated.
believe it's because, yeah, I think an
Yeah,
unrated director's cut will probably come, and I believe it's because then when they started to do their social media campaign, which a lot of films from 2022 capitalized on, consider Smile and other films similar. It doesn't matter. Um, Social media was an important influencer. Where the dance came out, Megan as doing her thing, everyone, the tweens were in love with it and doing the dance and the TikToks and all of that. So they were like, oh well, shit, let's make this palatable for that audience so we can make more money. Valid, fair point. I have no issue with it. This film took $12 million and made 165, and it's completely fucking deserving.
oh,
So
absolutely.
and so much that they're already greenlit Megan 2.0 in January of 2025. So for me, this is a perfect representation of what horror can be to bring in new audience members to the genre. And it's sort of like a miniature version of uh shit, what is it? Ex Machina. It's like
Sure.
kid version of Ex Machina, cool puppetry, crazy James Wanness, Kelly Cooper writing this, and it's in the same vein of Malignant. This is go have fun watching our shit insane movie, you know? And I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you said. This movie is smart. It is well written. The subtext is there. It's not hard to decipher the lesson they're trying to teach you
Mm-hmm.
about technology. They're taking it at an angle from which we don't really get to see it. We take it from the angle of something that's happening to us as a society right now as parents hand their kids iPads instead of babysitters.
Yep.
The human connection, the emotional connection with parents, as opposed to even like the emotional connection with a babysitter or an older sibling. Um, what happens when that doesn't exist or when we lose that is exhibited by the daughter or the girl's relationship to Megan um, and done very, very well. Normally, when a horror movie gets a PG-13 rating, I tend to roll my eyes and write it
Mm-hmm.
off. They knocked this movie out of the park. Um, uh, a little predictable, but
Sure.
you're along for the ride, and it's wacky fun, and just like at moments you're just laughing out loud at how crazy the stuff you're watching is, and you can't look away. Um, I definitely loved every minute of this movie, except for, and
Uh-oh.
this might start a little side conversation.
Weren't wow.
So the performances in this movie were great. Allison
Yes.
Williams, she's
Mm-hmm.
a great actress, and she's so good of an actress that I hated every second she was on the screen in this fucking movie because all I could think about was Get Out, and I hate her so much. I'm just like looking at her like they should have cast somebody else. This bitch from Get Out needs to just not be in movies that I want to see. like,
And she wasn't eating
and
cereal by dipping it in a glass of milk, so that
yeah,
was a plus, I guess. She's grown a little bit.
yeah. So
Your
so so
attachment or recognition of her from the movie Get Out really restricted your enjoyment of her scenes.
of her, for there were moments where I was like I could forget about it, but every once in
Uh
a
huh.
while she'd like look, she'd have this look on her face like, oh, you fucking bitch.
You dirty whore.
You're just gonna have this chick, you're just gonna have her head cut off and her brain taken out. Like, I'm just really worried for this girl. Like her parents
Well,
died. They should have put her in the foster system. Okay,
let's get
seven
into
seven
the
out of 10.
7 out of 10. I That's funny.
Seven
I
out of
landed
10.
exactly also at a 7. So first movie, great way to start the year. We both have a 7.
Great
That's
start to the
fantastic.
year.
So you mentioned it at the right before you got into your fucking weeds about Allison Williams's acting, uh, but it's setting the tone and knowing to have fun. And I will argue there's obviously a camp of horror fanatics that absolutely detest *Malignant* for whatever reason.
for
Again,
having
horror
bad
is a subjective genre.
for
There's
having
films
bad
that
opinions, pretty much.
Right. I don't like to be a hard ass and say that the way I see things is right. That's obviously silly.
That's
Um,
true. I agree.
as true as it
But
is.
our opinion on Malignant, specifically Malignant.
It's very frustrating because I'll find people that review films that I am interested in watching them talk about movies because I like to hear other viewpoints that are similar and dissimilar. And whenever they're dissimilar with a film that I feel so strongly about, I'm always kind of like perplexed, like, why don't you get it? Like and that's going to be an interesting point of contention when we get into later this evening's views, other shows. So,
Yes.
but for me, with *Malignant*, the way that this movie is structured, specifically with Megan, and it's similar to *Malignant* in part because of Kelly Cooper writing it. It sets up the tone of campiness immediately. There's a
Right.
commercial, a fictional product, perfect, uh, that
Oh God.
exists, or what is it called? It per
I
is
don't
isn't
know,
it
but
per?
it
It's
was
per something. It's
that
perfect.
that
It's a
commercial
spoof
was
commercial,
amazing.
and it's so great. It's a dumb commercial like Baby Alive that you would see, where it's just a Furby gone awry with troll-like hair, and you carry it around. It's an AI, very simple. It has a camera, and you feed it fictionally, and then it does fictional poop that actually comes out as little pellets. It's a stupid time suck for a kid to just be distracted. It's Tamagotchi, to the 10th. And that tone, setting it up immediately from the start of the movie, should clue you in to how to approach the movie for the rest of the fucking runtime. You shouldn't be confused or frustrated
Right.
or annoyed whenever they're being silly or it's hammed up or it's camp or anything like that. You should be waiting and looking for those moments and enjoying them tenfold because it was set up to be tasted that way. Right? Like,
Absolutely.
am I
Absolutely.
missing something?
No, absolutely.
I
Like
don't
even
get how people get confused going into the movie
good.
and have these constraints like, oh, it's like a ripoff of Chucky, except it's not as good, and the doll's been done.
Yeah.
What are you
What do
complaining
you-
about?
yeah.
They're trying to make you have a fun time watching a horror movie.
The doll's been
Why are
done.
you mad?
There's nine puppet masters, bro. You, you're not on the fucking Reddit complaining about those movies. Look, not only from the commercial, because the commercial definitely, absolutely sets the tone, but like what I mentioned earlier, how it's a little predictable. This scene where okay, she's kind of bonding with the niece, and she shows her lab, and she puts the gloves on and she punches them together to turn the
Yeah,
robot on, and it's this
right.
giant. All the robot does is punch. It's a punching robot. You're like, oh, that's what the thing that's gonna destroy Megan at the end. Like that's how they're
Yeah,
gonna
I
fight
know.
Megan.
It's
It's like
the
it's a
cooking
20
under
minute. Yeah,
siege.
yeah,
It's
yeah. That's
the
the smoking
showing it to
gun.
you early.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
and it's so fantastic for them to do the callback to make it obvious to then come back to it and the culmination of the third act is so fun. That's what's fun. You're just like, oh, that's gonna be there,
yeah, oh yeah,
and you just enjoy it. I love movies like this where it's fully aware of what it's doing, and it just wants to have fun. I'm so excited to watch an R cut, which I believe will come at some point. Kelly
yeah,
Cooper mentioned how the body count was way higher when they originally were doing it, and you can see the tones of it because like you have to. Okay, here's the other thing that I wanted to talk about with this. This is a very, relatively speaking, 12 mil. This is a low budget for a Blumhouse James Wan type horror picture. They
yeah,
did a lot with a little, and the CGI or their lack thereof is a big part of it. They needed to find a kid actor that could do the movements of the doll, and they got it to work. They have a mask on, but the mask doesn't emote in any kind of way. So that's where the CG comes in.
yeah.
And it's fantastic. It has this uncanny valley that makes it so engaging to watch, but you hate looking at it too.
Mm,
But every time you're looking at it, you're also intrigued and just can't stop. It's very unnerving, and
yeah,
it's perfect the way that it's been designed.
yeah. The past and present, so to speak, of the practical effects enhanced by CG, which is something if you watch the show, I say pretty much every episode is like,
Right.
why did they use so much CG when they could have just used practical effects and enhanced it with CG?
Yeah,
Like
this would in a poorly handled movie, this would have been 100% CG
CG
painted
everything.
into the
Yeah,
frames, and it would just be people acting around a fucking tennis ball, and it'd be
yeah.
stupid.
It would have
It
been
would look
and
dumb. It
it would
wouldn't
look
look
terrible.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie, they did it all right. They hit all the right notes. This is like And it's, it feels like a James Wan production. Like you've seen the Annabelles and the Conjurings, and okay, it's not as pure horror, and it's not obviously not a ghost story, but we watched *Malignant*, and that was action horror, and this is action horror. And they got the creepy little AI doll, and the way the doll protects the girl, like the
Uh-huh.
dialogue, the
Well, and
sing,
that's the
the
thing. Like when I mentioned it being sort of ex machina, a virgin ex machina type drink, it it does that. It's the potential for AI to completely ruin your life.
mm,
That you so innocently bring it into your home with the best intentions. Although Allison Williams' character definitely wants to not be a parent and wants this
right,
to be the stand-in for her being a parent because she doesn't trust or believe in herself as a real human being parent.
right.
Uh, Part of because of her detachment from reality because she's a
Uh,
computer
Nerd,
engineer,
yeah. I
software
I
engineer.
also agree with her assessment of her, but mainly because of Get Out.
Whose assessment of who?
Alison Williams' assessment of herself.
Oh, sure, 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 sure. Uh, so yeah, she's definitely not a good role model. But so it's just a palatable version of it. It's a way to introduce those elements of what could be actually terrifying into the home, and you just know, like, oh my god, this thing's sentient in a way, and it's protective in a way where you're fearful for anyone mistreating it. It's like how we feel whenever Chucky's mistreated. We know that there's the soul of a mass murderer inside him. So whenever someone's mishandling him, we anticipate the reaction that Chucky's going to have
Oh
with
yeah,
gruesomely murdering them. Here, it's the same kind of thing where it's like, oh my God, do not F with this little girl, you kid at a daycare camp. Like, what are you doing? You're gonna die,
yeah,
and you do die.
yeah,
And I'm excited to see like an extended version of that. Also, no one's mentioned this. That scene at the day, the little temp day that they all have to be
yeah.
introduced to the camp, like orientation. That kid. Now, believe me, forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but did you get the sense at the start of the scene where he grabs the doll
Hmm.
that it was going to get dark?
Yes.
That he was taking that doll because he's pubescent at this point, right?
Oh no, I didn't think that. I thought
You
he was
didn't
gonna.
think
I
that?
thought he, I thought he was
Oh,
gonna like torture her
okay. I
with her
apologize to
doll.
anyone for myself, but I definitely was picturing him taking that doll and be like, "Does this doll have a vagina? Because I'm gonna stick my dick in it."
Nah, I didn't think that. I definitely thought he was going to torture her with her doll or show her the doll and like tear it up or something
But
like
he
that.
gets on top of it and he's like straddling it. And I feel like I'm like, oh no, this dude's definitely thinking about fucking this doll. Like, okay, and again, let's detach me as an adult watching fucking preteens. I get it. Okay, I'm not a weirdo, but I'm saying if I was that age, I think that's what I would have been thinking. And I thought it was going to take that kind of a turn. And I was excited. I was like, oh my god, they're really gonna. I was like PG-13, and they're not gonna do anything
They're
with
not
that.
going to do anything. Yeah.
But I bet that's what was happening. At any rate, he pays the price, and that's what's so great about it. Like her expressions, Megan's expressions are amazing. Her
Oh yeah.
expression when the dog starts effing her up, and then her hair's all a mess, and she's looking across the fence at the neighbor, like
Yeah.
you are going to die,
Yeah.
and
I
she's giving her
love
this death stare,
I
just
love
like
it
her
when she
hair,
went out. Yeah, when she goes after the neighbor,
just
it was great.
vacant, dark eyes. It's fantastic. Look, it's a wonderful movie. The Model 3 generative android is a must see movie for this year, especially if you want to have a good viewing experience this year.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Two sevens, that's a great start, bro.
Two
Um,
sevens, great start.
how do you feel about the early green light for the sequel?
Yeah, yeah, I'll take it. I mean, she's just a microchip, right? So it doesn't matter how the body gets beat up, she can come back.
Well, and there was the
Um,
end scene with that other
the end
robot.
scene, she's in the Alexa, right? Something like that
Yeah, their
is,
version of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Early on, they use it to turn on the lights,
yeah,
and then you see it become kind of sentient, or it might even say something once the actual physical Megan doll is destroyed.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm totally down. Like Child's Play, honestly, is one of my favorite franchises.
Yeah.
and it's because they don't play it straight. You know, the first movie was kind of played straight, but like it was still very very funny. But
Yes, well, but what I like, but I think what you're getting at is I like how it continues. There's a reason or a logical way that explains how it goes from one to two to three and so
yeah,
on and so forth, where the entity is transferred in some kind of way. I can't
yeah,
remember from one to two. Is it because the toy factory it melts it down and so his soul becomes part of the newly manufactured doll that ends up going out to shipment in two? Like, because then one ends, no,
yeah.
two ends in the factory where him
Two
getting
two
melted
ends
down.
in the factory. Three is where he gets rebuilt. Um, because doesn't
I
three
can't
start?
remember one
I
to
think
two.
three starts off with the factory making the dolls.
Right, making
It's
him,
like a
yeah, from
montage
it.
with yeah.
Right.
Um,
And then it goes off the rails and goes to the
it
military
goes to
school.
the
Isn't that
military
three?
school, yeah, where they put the
Which I
live in.
still loved.
Yeah,
I
it's
will
so
never
great.
forget the kid diving on the grenade to save everyone else. I'm like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah, great stuff. Um,
But so like I like that they set it up. There will be a logical way. I don't like the idea of her existing just in a goddamn, Alexa. Obviously she's going to have to get into something else that she can do cool shit with, right? That's the whole allure of the movie, the franchise, so to speak. That is obviously very early. But yeah, you could write several of these. And Akela Cooper is going to be the one writing this one. She's the one that got tapped to do it, so she's signed on
nice.
and she's going for it. So
That's
I'm
great.
fully on board with whatever she's writing because she's got a twisted mind and
Yeah.
she knows how to write it in such a way that it's that you should be having fun. She wants to have fun clearly in her movies.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's interesting. You know what else is interesting?
All right, Megan came out early January. It should be on streaming already, I think. If you get a chance, check it out. And so, for the
Come get
first
some.
episode of season 3 of the podcast of the Ruthless Deceased, I'm Nate Roberts.
I'm Rodney Godek. Take care, and we'll see you next time.